This is a gang of traditional pit latrine emptiers responding to a call from a client in Shamankulu, one of the districts in Maputo, Mozambique. With only 9% of households in Maputo connected to a sewerage network, the majority of residents here rely on such people to empty their pit latrines when they are full.
A situação de gestão das lamas fecais no município de Maputo é assunto bastante sério. Se for a verificar, temos cerca de, são 7 distritos municipais, mas aonde nós temos o saneamento convencional, basicamente, é no distrito municipal Camfumo.
Due to lack of efficient sewerage services, about 41% of Maputo residents use pit latrines, while 49% of city dwellers use septic tanks and poor flush toilets.
When we were discussing the Millennium Development Goals, most of the indicators were focused on the access, meaning containment. But then we were not measuring how then the sludge was being managed after the containment. Yeah? And the question that we would ask, especially for those working on-site, what happens when the pit gets full?
With a population of 150,000, the problem of fecal sludge management is particularly acute in Shamankulu district, which contains 11 neighborhoods.
Para o nosso envolvimento, passamos de muitas fases de esclarecimento sobre a vantagem e talvez prováveis desvantagens deste projeto.
Although the traditional method of desludging is considered cheap by low-income earners, the process is unhygienic, and an analysis of fecal waste disposal indicated that in Maputo, only 3% of the total fecal waste produced actually pass through the treatment plant, while more than 50% contaminates the soil and Maputo Bay. In order to develop a scalable intervention strategy, a pilot project targeting Shamankulu district was undertaken in 2011, following a request from the Maputo Municipal Council to Water and Sanitation Program. This comprised the improvement of toilets in low-income rental compounds, building technical capacity in the municipal sanitation department, and promotion of improved sanitary practices at household level, as well as the development of sustainable private sector capacity to provide fecal sludge management services.
We had 3 people directly on the ground, one working with the Association of Small Service Providers, giving kind of business development expertise in general. One working on the technical side, equipment, procedures, all of that, and one working on the publicity side.
A survey indicated that on average, there were 2,300 demands for emptying services per year in Shamankulu district, with a ratio of about 3 pit latrines to 1 septic tank. A service model was designed with transfer facilities in mind to allow for primary collection with ideal equipment capable of accessing narrow alleyways in the neighborhoods of low-income earners, and secondary transport service to deliver the sludge to the municipal treatment plant kilometers away. The pilot fecal sludge management system had a primary operator assigned in a particular neighborhood to provide desludging services, and after exhausting the sludge, move the containers in handcarts to a designated nearby transfer station. It was at this point that a secondary operator would take over the consignment and, together with the rest collected elsewhere, deliver the bulk using trucks to the treatment plant. For primary operators to exhaust pit latrines, a set of emptying tools including protective equipment, a handcart, shovels, buckets, tanks, a gulper hand pump, as well as a motorized pump were provided. The manual gulper hand pump is designed to desludge pit latrines, while the powered trash pump was meant for use in a situation where there was more liquid sludge, especially from septic tanks.
So these 8 operators, they had everything for free. The idea was for them to support the district and to concentrate, to develop their skills to operate in the district, to be more able to serve this poor people, the poor area where these big operators can't go.
São empresas grandes, não são microempresas, são mega, não é? Portanto, o pobre não consegue trazer um caminhão para vir esvaziar, portanto, esvaziar a sua fossa. Mas com estas microempresas que nós temos, já facilita.
The pilot facilitated capital investment funding as well as fecal sludge management operation and business management, where a combination of theoretical and practical lessons with both classroom and field exercises were designed.
A gente sabe, por exemplo, fazer o cálculo do valor que temos que cobrar ao cliente. A gente sabe medir a quantidade de lamas que temos que tirar antes de começar o trabalho. A gente sabe mais ou menos calcular o tempo que vai se gastar com a operação toda. A gente consegue perspectivar o valor que há de entrar mensalmente ou diariamente, as despesas também diárias, semanais, mensais.
Peer-to-peer learning was also used through the participation of an experienced operator from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
What is being done outside, you need to try here, you need to adapt to the reality here, because one thing that works really very well in Durban, probably here, no.
The introduction of the Galpa hand pump in the project has also created business opportunities for artisans in Maputo. With locally available materials, a smith in Maputo fabricated not only the Galpa pump, but also handcarts designed to carry a 500-litre tank or a set of 12 20-litre buckets in the narrow alleys of Shamankulu. In partnership with the Mozambican Association of Micro-Enterprise Service Providers and stakeholders, the project supported the preparation and dissemination of information targeting different interest groups via sport to attract the youth, and also via traditional games targeting the older members of the society. A slogan for the project was proposed in order to promote the image of the service. Kupa Shikoti, which in the local language means a clean latrine, was well adapted by the community and was used effectively.
It's a Shangana name that we developed through the community. So we went to those areas where we are working and we asked people what would be the best name to this service. And that didn't only happen with the name Kupa Chikoti. The logo of the services also was designed through the co-design process.
Aquelas aulas que nós tivemos de marketing, não é? Então tínhamos que começar a implementar. Conseguimos ver que o projeto está a dar, porque começávamos a andar em porta a distribuir panfletos, senhas, então as pessoas ligavam.
After the introduction of the model, prices charged for the service were between $30 and $70. In this regard, it was noted that potential customers, particularly pit latrine users, continued to seek services from traditional emptiers whom they considered cheap.
O que nós pretendemos é que haja envolvimento de vários atores no processo, que seja uma atividade também de interesse e de prestação do setor privado, o setor privado esteja envolvido e faça a prestação de serviço. É lógico que o município vai ter que fazer alguma intervenção nesse serviço, praticamente em situação de famílias mais pobres.
In Maputo, as in most African cities, transport to the treatment works is by far the largest component of the service cost. A subsidy for this step in the sanitation service chain should be considered, and this could be paid out of the sanitation tariff. Some technologies currently in use need to be developed further, particularly when dealing with the thicker and drier sludge, to minimize waste contact with service providers. On tanks, they also need to be redesigned to minimize spillage on the part of primary fecal sludge transport. Given the dynamic nature of peri-urban settlements, access to information is essential for improving this model. In this regard, the local government should establish a monitoring system that will continually update sanitation status. Research during the pilot also showed that very small fecal sludge management enterprises are not sustainable and that other sources of income other than household emptying are necessary to ensure viability. Having it together with solid waste management makes a lot of sense because solid waste is one of the biggest enemies of decent desludging, gets into the toilets. During the pilot, the primary operators started making their own arrangements for transporting fecal sludge straight to the treatment plant by renting small trucks to transport the 500-litre tanks and buckets. They, in turn, have developed to become secondary operators. The city wastewater treatment facility is a bit of a mess, quite frankly, and there is no particular provision for fecal sludge management, which requires rather a different treatment, and that definitely has to be on the agenda. There is need to establish autonomous municipal entities and also develop the necessary institutional and legal framework, as well as setting up a regulatory oversight institution.
Now, all operators say this business is sustainable. Is the reason why each one wanted to go to bank to take in the money.
Nesta fase nós estamos no período de pico. É provável que a gente fique uma semana, fazemos 2 esvaziamentos, mas mesmo assim as receitas são boas.
Podemos dizer que desde que começou o projeto aqui também, não só de remoção, mas também de construção de latrinas batalhadas que a WhatsApp fez. A situação melhorou drasticamente. O ano passado, vai dizer que o ano passado só tivemos um caso de cólera, que também a pessoa nem sequer é daqui do Camanculo, vinha de Cabo Delgado, a pessoa foi infectada em Cabo Delgado e acabou perdendo a vida cá.
Já estamos a trabalhar em políticas para a implementação dessa atividade, nomeadamente nas posturas municipais, e que também com esse trabalho piloto no distrito de Camanculo, começarmos a fazer a transferência e a passagem de conhecimento e experiência para os distritos a seguir.